Hi, everybody. Today is Tuesday, August 4th, 2020. And today I wanted to do a little video and talk about meetups, specifically some of the challenges that I've observed with meetups during COVID. A lot of my observations have to do more with US based meetups because that's the community I'm involved in. So hopefully, if you're outside the US, maybe this is a little bit easier. But in the US, things are still very tense and locked down, and so meetups are in a particular spot where they're greatly affected. A lot of meetups are built around in-person events, and so not being able to meet in person has definitely had a big impact on meetups. The good news is that we are kind of in a unique position to evolve and make ourselves useful even during lockdown. And so, yeah, I want to talk a little bit about how that's going. Um, the first thing I'll say is a couple observations. Um, so, a lot of meetups that I am particularly personally a part of, as well as familiar with, have started to do some things online, which I think is great. If you're a part of a meetup that has not started to do things online, I definitely recommend starting to do something, because there is a certain momentum with meetups, and even during the in-person stuff. Like if you stop having in-person events, then um, it's a little tougher to get people to come back, and so I think regularity is really really important. Now that said, these online events have been a mixed bag, with success and failure. So one of the things I've seen is definitely a lot of meetups have fewer participants and participation. So whereas a normal meetup might have drawn, 30 people to an in-person event, they're getting 8 to 10 people doing an online event. Um, and then the other kind of big thing I've noticed is the lack of kind of new faces. A lot of times at those similar meetups, you would have like 5 new faces at any one event, or maybe some people would show up like 2, 3 events out of the year, like a 12-month year. And so there's a couple challenges there. The first thing, I'll just start talking with new people. I think one of the challenges with meetups is both attracting new members to kind of be joining and making sure that they are onboarded, for lack of a human term, into the group. So, like, if you have an online, chat and with your group, and there's 8 people there, and there's one new person, it's very difficult for them to kind of walk into a room where these other 8 people like already know each other, and so you definitely benefit from having some structure to kind of make sure that they are, accommodated. And either that's through like one-on-one introductions, like as they show interest in the group, or more structured agendas, so that way people have opportunity to kind of talk and introduce themselves, and the chat is not kind of like dominated by any one individual. So just keep that in mind. Try to kind of brainstorm different ways you can help both advertise to bring new people in, and then once they do kind of show interest, making sure that they're given a proper opportunity to kind of get accustomed to the group and kind of meet people and do things like that. And then when it comes to participation, part of this is, I think, just adjusting your personal expectations about the group. A lot of times it can be easy to think, oh, well, I used to draw 30 people, now I'm drawing 10, and so that's a problem. And I mean, maybe in some ways it is, in some ways it's an opportunity, because in many ways you can do a lot more with a group of 10 people than you could with 30. So like try to take advantage of the situation and not necessarily let it get you down. And then with that regard, I think this is also an opportunity to kind of rethink about what meetups are, because traditionally in a lot of the circles, the technology meetups are about, having a monthly event where people come and somebody does a talk, and then there's a little bit of social time and a little bit of like, pizza time or whatever. And then that's it. And I mean, that has gotten us so far, but, translating that directly to an online experience has its problems. And so my general thought there is that maybe try to rethink the meetup group as more about smaller focused events and less about one big event a month. And there's a difference of type of events because there's like a couple reasons why your meetup exists. Or not like why it exists, but more of like how it achieves its overall goals. One is through creating like educational style events, and the other is like social events. And normally your one big monthly event was kind of both. But if you're doing online stuff, I think you can definitely focus on one or the other. So as an example, you could have an event that was very much focused on education and on goals. So like if you're doing a technology meetup, like it's about learning that new tech or learning a new framework or something. And maybe you do talks about that. Maybe you do a book club about that particular topic. And then you also mix it in with types of events which are more social, which are more like showcasing side projects and helping people out with code. And even in those both camps too, I also want to talk a little bit about the expectations for the attendees. A lot of people are, I think, good in experimenting with different things. So like if you have a particularly large group, like once you go over, 6 people, it gets very hard to have like a conversation in one big room. And so there's a lot of people doing these breakout rooms, which I think is good, but I do think it's important to kind of set expectations for the people coming to the event, because I don't think there's anything wrong with somebody who wants to like tune into a presentation and not turn on their video camera and not turn on their microphone, and they just want to sit there and watch it. Maybe they want to watch it while they're working on something else. Maybe they have Zoom fatigue and they just don't want to, they've been doing that maybe, for 8 hours during the day talking with their boss and their other teammates. And, now it's at nighttime and they do have an opportunity to kind of learn about their side project or something, but they don't want to, they just don't want to talk on video. And I think that's fine. So if you can try to set expectations as far as like what is required involvement and what is optional involvement, I think that can be helpful. And so like if you want to have an event where people can like kind of turn off the video camera and just watch, that's great. And then others where you're saying like, listen, we're going to have a breakout room in the second hour, and if you want to not participate in that, that's fine. And if you do participate, then we want you to have your video camera on. It's all about setting expectations. But yeah, it's a difficult time for meetups. People are having to change how they do things, and that's very difficult. But in some ways, it's a big opportunity too, because as a meetup organizer, I'll say this: from a financial perspective, one of the 2 biggest costs with running a meetup were paying for the venue and paying for the food. And now we don't have to do that. Similar with conference organizers. And so in many ways, this is it's a great opportunity to start a meetup because the costs are lower. There's lots of free tools to help with community building and chats, or low cost tools too. And yeah, it's definitely kind of an interesting time. I'll have more to say about this in the future. I just wanted to kind of get some ideas out of my head and into the camera. So hopefully you enjoyed this, and thanks for watching, and good luck with your meetup.